This is the story of the stranger Stang, the Ford T5. In April of 1964, the entire world is buzzing. Ford is releasing their new sporty coupe to the world. It is the perfect car, something for the young people in the United States to be excited about. It had a decent amount of room and had some decent performance figures to match. The Ford Mustang is released. More than 400,000 units of the Ford Mustang are sold in the first year. This is all cool and is a great story, but this video is not about the Ford Mustang. This story starts in Europe during the 50s and 60s. American cars are being sold steady in Europe, but with low numbers. Not many American cars were sold to Europeans because the cost of fuel was high and it was difficult to get parts. The American cars, however, were considered by the Europeans elite to be prestigious import cars. Convertibles were especially popular because of their weatherproof tops, powerful engines, and high output heaters. Most American cars, however, were sold to American service personnel who could purchase new American cars through the military PX system. They were also able to get fuel at a greatly reduced price at an on-base station, and the cars were shipped back to the United States for free, compliments of Uncle Sam. When the Mustang was introduced to the market, plans on how to sell the Mustang were under consideration. Ford already decided to export the new pony car to Europe. They were especially thinking that most of the potential customers would be in the U.S. Armed Forces staffed there. Ford had already done design studies in Europe. These designs were very well accepted by Europeans. One of the first convertible Mustangs was sold to an Englishman on the 8th of April with the code of 05C as it was built on March 5th. In Germany, however, as stated previously, the main interest of Ford went to the U.S. Forces staff there. This is when Ford initially started having problems marketing the Mustang in Germany. This is because Germany's top-selling Mustang was a hulking, slow, two-stroke diesel engine smoking slug of a truck. This truck was sold by Krupp from 1951 to 1968. The main reason why the Ford Mustang truck stopped Ford was because of Krupp's copyright. That was basically a roadblock for Ford's plan to market its Mustang in Germany. Ford still wanted to sell their car though. They just did not want to buy the Mustang name from Krupp for $10,000. Ford decided instead to use the name T5. T5 had no specific meaning, but was the original project name for the Mustang in the early 60s. Ford decided to go with this for the name of the car that was not quite like the Mustang in Germany. Think of this as the Mustang you would see in the Upside Down. Nothing is quite what it seems. As I said, when it came to the T5, nothing was as it seemed. Looking at the car from a distance would not give away its differences from the Mustang. Upon closer inspection, however, you start to notice all the little changes that signify that this is not a Mustang, but something totally different. In 1965, several modifications were done to make sure the T5 was its own thing. They received modified hubcaps with a plain black center cap. They also had the word Mustang removed from the horn ring on the steering wheel. Mustang was also removed from the rear gas cap. There were few other changes to the design of the car. There were other bigger changes made that did not only have to do with the branding, but other things. Most T5s had clear parking lamps rather than amber and had a speedometer that was calibrated in kilometers per hour. The suspension on the T5 was tuned slightly with installment of the shock tower brace from the Shelby GT350, as the roads overseas were much rougher. The last way you can tell that you may have entered a different dimension is by the deletion of the GT logo on a T5 with its replacement. A logo that looks like the GT logo except says T5 instead. This is not the end of Ford's problems though. They thought after the Mustang truck was discontinued in 1973 that they could start stamping Mustang on the cars that went to Germany again. They couldn't do this because Kreidler, a German manufacturer of small motorbikes, introduced a motorbike with the name Mustang. This small motorbike was made from 1974 to 1975. Once again, Ford did not want to purchase the Mustang name, so they just continued with the T5 name. The name rights for the motorcycle were applied all the way through December 31st, 1978. This means that the T5 name was carried all the way through the Mustang 2 years. There are very few 79 models also documented as T5s. So next time, when you're at a car show or driving down the road and see a 1965 Mustang pass you, and you realize it don't seem quite right, you may be in the presence of a rare foreign or mythical beast. You may want to slap yourself to see if you're awake and look around to make sure that you're not in another dimension, because the T5 is definitely a stranger thing. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this week's Wheel Wednesday video. I got the idea for this week's Wheel Wednesday video from one of my favorite car TV personalities, Dennis Collins. Dennis Collins, you may have seen him on Fast and Loud a few times. He is the owner of Collins Brothers Jeep in Dallas, Texas, and he's currently in possession of one of the Mustangs I just talked about in this video. The Mustang he has was owned by two high-ranking military officials, and it was driven in South Vietnam during the Vietnam War by these high-ranking officials. And at least one of the high-ranking officials was part of the River Rats. The River Rats were the group of people that drove and traveled on the PT boats in Vietnam. So he's currently in possession of this car, and he's trying to find the backstory on this car. He's doing some research. So if you remember hearing the story of this car in South Vietnam, or heard of people who've seen it, if you have any information, you can get a hold of him, and I'll leave links to his business and video in the description below. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.